again with legendary strength coach Dan John here
Hey,
for our
buddy.
weekly fitness jam session and Q&A. I have yet another sick child. I'm a little sick myself, actually. Dan came down with a little something.
I don't
Filmed a bunch of workouts yesterday. I guess I pushed it a little too hard out in the Wisconsin cold. So here we are. I got my luxury bathrobe on, and after this, I'm just going to luxuriate a bit. But how have you been, Dan?
Hey, things are good. It's weird. I'm looking at all the little things I measure, and we're trending up on everything. I don't know what's going on, Pat, but this is as geeky as anything I'll probably ever say, but it's like my podcast, my YouTube, my Instagram, in the last month have just gone,
boom, exploding. Yeah, bump some of that traffic this way while you're at it,
no,
Dan.
if I can tell you what happened, I'd let you know.
Well, it just goes to show, I think there's a great lesson there. I mean, quality content, quality hard work. But, for many people I know, even for myself at different periods of my life, it's just like you're consistent. And, maybe you're inching. But then you do have those sort of those breaks, those breakthroughs, whether it's in business or lifting or music or whatever, right? But it's only after that really consistent grind. I was talking to somebody the other day, he's a musician, and he's like, yeah, Pat, I've been doing this. He makes a living full-time as a musician just locally, which is pretty hard to do, right? And he's like, yeah, I've been doing this for 14 years, but it's only in the past year that finally stuff just started booking itself and I'm really doing well. And he's like, I didn't change anything. I just kept working, really hard and doing the best I could. And then finally things just sort of, bam, happen. So it happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, George Leonard has a wonderful book called Mastery, and he discusses the obsessive, the dabbler. I think they're not called hacks. There's a third one, and versus mastery. And he says, mastery is learning to fall in love with the plateau, because if you're on the plateau, if you're getting the work in, you're taking care of business, whether it's your business, your martial art, your discus throwing, and there's this flat period where you don't have those early wonderful gains anymore. There's no great insights. All the, I don't know. There's no little things you can just tick off and improve instantly. And all of a sudden,
that's a really great point too. Is I want something I've struggled with myself, and I think this will be a good lesson for everybody. You can't just be chasing and looking for that lifter's high or that runner's high or that business person's high or that musical high, because those things are so fleeting, and you're going to have so many more days where those feelings aren't there, that if that's what you're in it for, you're just going to quit. You're going to, so you got to enjoy those things when they happen. Like I always love those days when, everything's just firing on all cylinders and feel an amazing workout and it's all just clicking and singing and all that. But man, if you're just banking on that, you ain't going to last, are you, Dan?
Yeah. And what's cool about his book too, and I'll just add the other point, is that he takes it to there are certain people who love the early, and I'll be honest, I have the issue, those early days of a new relationship where everything is roses and Valentines, and then the grind.
It's the lifting romance period, right? Or the fitness romance period. Everything's great at the beginning. Even guitar, you start learning things really quick. Yeah. You're right. That's good.
When in what we do with fitness, I mean, let's be honest. When I work with certain people, I mean, if I get them to go for a walk every day and drink more water, things happen. I want you to go for a 20-minute walk every morning, drink some coffee before, and then, drink more water. Things happen on the scale. Things happen, in their body composition. Well, and then, about a month after that, they're getting nothing out of that morning walk and the cup of coffee and the water. We have to, but it's just like all of a sudden they're the best client I ever had. And it's like, I can't, every time I jump on the scale, the weight goes down, life is great. And you're like, yeah, okay, we got to add a little bit more. We got to add. And then, man, and
then things just level off, right? And as you get further and further in life and you get better and better at things, here's the hard truth, guys. You're going to spend more time in those plateaus, and you're going to relish. And I call them the clicks, right? Where you're just grinding days, weeks, maybe months. And then finally something clicks, right? It's almost the opposite of when you're starting out. Because when you're starting out, it's just click, progress. But when you actually get good at something and you're kind of expert level and you're still trying to improve, man, it is so marginal and so tedious and so painful. But that's life. And it's also easy to, when you're at certain levels, to overlook all the progress you have made. And so a lot of mindset work has to go into this, especially if you're looking for long-term success. And this is obviously true for weight loss and lifting, but man, it applies to anything, any skill, any endeavor. That's just the way it is, right?
And one smaller thing. Yesterday was the 100th anniversary of George Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. So,
very cool. Well, if I would have known, I would have queued it up.
But again, there's, I would say one thing about George Gershwin. You always have to remind yourself he died at 38. With that vast, the volume of work he came out. I mean, if you just said Porgy and Bess, American in Paris, Rhapsody in Blue, O&F, and that doesn't even include things like I Got Rhythm and all the other, and the fun tunes.
Really impressive. Really impressive
body of work. So hats off to you, George, and thanks for the music. I know a lot of people are probably exhausted today from celebrating Rhapsody in Blue yesterday.
Yep.
But hey, you still go to work, people.
You made it to the podcast. Congrats. All right, so we're on a little bit of a time crunch, so let's dive into questions and start knocking these out. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the comments. Albert says, what do you guys think about the Super Bowl? Well, as you know, I'm not the biggest sports fan, but we did watch it. We went to my dad's. So we started watching it, and then we brought the kids home and put them to bed at like halftime. And Christy and I, well, we got to finish it now, right? And I don't know. I thought it was a pretty exciting game as far as that goes, with having zero emotional investment whatsoever in either team or the event. It was exciting going into that overtime, and I don't know. We had a good time. What do you think, Dan?
Niners need to run the ball on first down every time. When the 49ers decided to run the ball early and often, it was a lopsided game. They let the Chiefs back in by throwing on first down and letting the blitz packages, the Chiefs blitz packages, just as if it was frustrating. And then instead of kicking off in overtime, I don't understand why they took the ball. That was that, of course. But here's the thing: I'm also a high school football coach. And high school coaches, we have such a thin margin to win.
Sure.
Literally, you could take the exact same athletes, put them in a different situation. So, and as a high school coach, you have to master overtime rules. You have to master clock management, because you're just trying to get out of the game. Literally get on the game. I mean, you're working with, your whole success relies on a 15-year-old boy who's more nervous about asking a girl to homecoming. So yeah.
I think the team that if they would have just done a few more goblet squats, whatever team did more goblet squats.
Yeah, if they had done instead of 3 sets of 5 sets of 3, I think the whole thing would have been different. Yeah,
would have been totally the other way.
That's it. We're not talking about it anymore.
All right. Albert says, Pat, you look like a guy who used to sing for my old band. Bon Jovi? Is that what you're thinking of?
Yeah.
All right. GM says, would love to hear your guys' thoughts on the idea of mastering movements with body weight before adding load. I've heard conflicting opinions on that. I find lightweight squats easier than no weight. Well, you're not alone, GM, but let's get Dan John's thoughts. Should people just do calisthenics before lifting, kettlebells or barbells? Dan, what's your take on this?
He's a guy, and a lot of our listeners probably haven't heard of, but his name is Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was a bodybuilder back when I was young. Very good bodybuilder. Wrote a book. I don't know what's happened to him after that. I'll be honest, but
well, I do now that I watch the Super Bowl. Apparently, he's doing stuff for State Farm insurance or whatever.
Yeah. But Arnold's book, The Education of Bodybuilder, which I still think is one of the. I wish I had my original copy. I bought it the day it came out in 1975. I also bought T.H. White's The Once and Future King the day it came out too. I mean, the Book of Merlin that same year when it came out, I think.
Groovy.
One of the things he pushes, in his book, before you even touch a weight, you should spend 6 months preparing your body with body weight training. Nobody's ever taken that advice, GM, ever.
I seriously doubt it. Even he did that. If I don't know for sure, but I feel like I'm calling a bluff there. You know what I mean? I guess that's, yeah.
I think body weight training is a natural thing. If you progress up like I did in the tradition, and again, I feel for so many of you who didn't have solid physical education courses, but body weight training, running, skipping, butt kickers, high knee running,
Good
push
old fashioned rope climbing.
that was just part of what we did. So when we moved over to, in fact, the word is called pedagogy. It's teaching the body. It's teaching it. Well, it just means pedagogy means the method of teaching, but youth. But don't worry. But we were taught to use our bodies, and then we added load. His second point is an interesting one, which is why I think the goblet squat and some of the others are so good. For many people, having load makes many of the lifts easier to learn. So I would say that hinges and squats, now it's interesting about make sure you listen to those. Obviously loaded carries. So hinges, squats, loaded carries, I think you need load. But pushes and pulls, I think you can learn body weight. And really, if you were to do push-ups,
you can almost split it upper body, lower body, right?
Yeah. I'm kind of mental. Where you got it. You jump the corner on me. You got it. You cut me. But handstand push-ups, dips, handstand push-ups, dips. I mean, you can go a long ways before you ever load those up. Pull-ups, horizontal bar rows. I mean, single hand. When you go like this.
The TRX single arm row.
Whatever system you use. I mean, you can go. Truthfully, there's a swath of the population who never need to add load. In those exercises.
Yeah, but it definitely helps to have load for your squat family and your hinge family and all that. It's just really, I mean, you can, if you're getting really fancy and tricky, you can find ways to with just your own body weight, but it's, pick the best tool for the job.
But then I look at the videos, people, this guy does it. And I look at it and it just, we call them junk reps. It's garbage reps. It's, you're doing a lot, but honestly, you would do so much more by just.
Right. Like if you have to do like 50 reps before you get to it, like that is so much, that's so many junk. It's just junk volume. You don't want that. Like you want to get to those effective reps fairly quickly. Right. So
there's a mountain right over there. I can see it's called Mount Olympus. And it's one of the hardest climbs I know because it's a 1-day climb. It's almost 3 hours straight up. And the hard part is the 3 hours straight down. But for those of you, if you put to climb it, I need to carry at least a gallon of water with me, which is heavy, right? And I'm going to bring lunch, and it's a good idea to bring some protective equipment like hats.
A cup.
And then of course it's also a haven for rattlesnakes. So it's probably a good idea to prepare yourself for that. With that load, 3 hours of walking up a hill. Now, if you did that and then down, that eccentric hit on your quads makes you sore. If you did that climb 3 days a week for a month, I'm sure something good would happen. But honestly, it's probably a little bit easier just to squat.
Just to do some heavy front squats. Yeah, I'm into that. Jason has a related question. He says, hey, Dan likes the Fibonacci sequence. Yes, he does. But what would you suggest for body weight training? Or would you use the Fibonacci? So maybe we could tie this into the upper body stuff we're talking about here. Or would you just use the old ladder of 15, 14, 13 and downward, like the humane burpee style sequence?
Well, so for me, I just, and Jason, it's kind of a fun question. For me, Fibonacci's are the base of everything. With ladders, I use, no, it's not true. It's funny. I have one workout that goes, and I love it. It goes 2, 3, 5, 10. And whenever I say 10 in my head, it's like, oh, no, that's not Fibonacci. Maybe it should be 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, but I'm not going to go that far. When it comes to ladders, it is just simpler for your brain to hang on to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or 15, 14, 13. If you're doing ladders, you can use natural numbers. But when I plan, not to a psychotic, like I need help, gently pick up the phone and dial for help kind of. It's not that bad, but I use it in a general sense. Most of my workout numbers are 2, 3, 5, 8. I tend to program in 13-week blocks. A lot of that is because it's just natural. And I think there's actually, when I say it's natural, I actually do think it's natural. And people tend to remember those workouts far better than 4 sets of 7. And I'm just telling you the truth here.
Yeah, great. Awesome. All right, next question is an equipment question. Kirill just bought himself a weighted vest, and he wants to know, is there a killer app for the weighted vest? How would you use this?
A 10 kilo, 22 pounder. I would say I would use that for walks every day. That's almost a perfect
Yeah, it's great.
weight vest for walking weight. I actually have several. I have a huge one that weighs probably around 30 kilos, 60, 65, 70 pounds, something like that. And then I have a 35. But the one I've been wearing the most, Kirill, lately is it's going to sound strange, but it's just 10 pounds. But what's nice about the 10 pounds is when I monitor my heart rate with that, it nudges me into the lower end of where I want to be walking.
Nice.
And so I can just put on this little vest. I mean, if I have the dogs, I can hold 2 leashes, one, whatever. And what I like about it is that is just enough to nudge me over that bottom number. Now, remember, folks, I'm 67. So when you go 100, so I use the lower number would be 160 minus 67. And if you do the math, that number is not very high for me to nudge into. So, but what's good about, so if I'm in the upper shade of the 90s, basically where I would throw the discus now is the lower end of where I need for my heart.
Yeah, cool.
To be when I want to do an extended walk. So that, it's one of those. I obviously too, you can do dips, pull-ups. I don't know if you have a park course near your house, but wearing a weighted vest in a park course sounds like such a good idea until you do it.
Until you do it, yeah. I really,
everything is like, what was I thinking?
Yeah. I think that's right. The walks are great. Push-ups, planks, awesome. Pull-ups, it depends on the vest, because sometimes the vest can distort the mechanics. I usually prefer the belt when it comes to pull-ups if you're going to weight it, but some vests are more cumbrous than others.
The new rucking vests are almost impossible to do pull-ups with. They got these big like armored things here, and so when you bring
you just can't get that good shoulder flexion, right? Yeah, neck starts jutting out.
You come in, you see me hanging there,
Yeah.
My grip, even in death, like an iron fist.
Ah, yes, indeed. All right. The other Dan Herman has a comment. He just says, one thing I wish I could get clients to do more is walk.
Dan, I preach. It's actually, okay, I'm going to stick with that word. I preach that all the time to people who ask me for advice, and I get as much pushback from walking as I get from, you should eat vegetables. I don't know. Brother, I don't know what to tell you. I honestly don't. Usually I have an answer for everything, but my new answer is this. 19 out of 20 people aren't going to do it no matter what I say. So I can spend the rest of my life banging my head on the wall.
Yeah.
Or I work with the 1 out of 20.
Yeah, help the people that you can help. That's it, right? Yeah, I'm into that. We'll do what we can, and we can't do what we can't. Simple as that. All right. I
mean, most Americans literally have to have Social Security when they retire, because they don't. Only 1 in 20 Americans save enough to retire without
it. Naughty behavior. It's naughty.
1 in 20 Americans probably exercise. According to my dentist, only 1 in 20 flosses. So,
sorry, my camera cut out. Is audio still here?
Ladies and gentlemen, Pat Flynn has left the building.
I have disappeared. Let's try it again. And I'm back. All right. Sorry, little hiccup there. All right, let's keep going.
Let me catch my breath.
Yikes! Hey, my virtual background disappeared. Well, there you go. You get a nice look at my chandelier there, friends. All right. SJ says, here's a lot of equipment questions today, which is fine. But SJ says, hey, if you had one piece of equipment to use, the desert island question, Dan, kettlebell, TRX, resistance bands, blah, blah, blah. What would it be, Dan?
I mean, the desert island collection, the only one that's going to last about 2 years will be the kettlebell.
Yeah. For me, it's like the 216 or the 220 kilo. Can I get two 220 kilogram kettlebells?
That would be that. Oh, yeah. And then
That'd
you
be
can
it.
do the workouts from my new book, which should be out soon. Yeah.
Yeah, the 220K is just like such a sweet spot. You can just hit so much different stuff. So if you give me if you give me 2 kettlebells, that's what I'm going for, right?
But the other stuff wouldn't last. Now the nice thing about the TRX is with those straps, you could do like a hammock. You could make
yeah, but then some badger's gonna come steal it or something, right?
Like if a hippopotamus runs through, you could take it down,
strangle it, and eat its meat. Yeah. There's a workout for you. Yeah. Sleeper hold that thing down. Yeah. All right. Jack says, I'm a 47-year-old family man. For me, it's enough to stay at the level I'm at right now. That is to lift weights 2 to 3 times a week and 1 long run per week. And I'm happy with that. Good for you, Jack. Good for you.
That is, isn't that, for those of you listening, Jack, I just really appreciate that. What I like there, by the way, is your balance. And the most important thing is the fact that you like what it is. So the first thing every one of you has to define is what's enough for you. What's enough? What's that body weight? What's enough? And then after that, you start thinking about, okay, let's piece this together into a workable system. And that's the key, I think. I love it when someone sends in something, hey, you're 47, you got a family, you got stuff going on, but I can get my 3 workouts in and my run every week. I think that's what he said. Yeah. 3 times a week I lift, I go for a run. It keeps me happy. It keeps me healthy. I'm around for my kids. The mistake people make, I think a lot, Jack, and someone in your situation will be start asking me about, what about something they find at the nutrition store, or what this person they saw doing online is about. And it's just not everything is for everyone, man. That's
yeah, good for you, man. Be able to get into a rhythm like that where you have good general fitness, good general health, and good balance, everything else.
Yeah,
sweet. It's pretty sweet. Good for you.
Someone got on me because I made fun of the Kardashians at a workshop not long ago. I got a little note that was inappropriate, but I was like, well, because I made strong statements about but the Kardashian lifestyle is not my lifestyle.
It's not mine.
I am not.
At least I don't think it's mine. Maybe I don't know a single thing. I can't tell you a single thing about the Kardashians. Maybe I am living the Kardashian lifestyle. I don't know.
When people look at the two of us, you're more Kardashian than I am.
I'm a bit more Kardashian than Dan. Yeah.
They want to make it big,
Oh, well, look at me.
So you can't, we get all. I'll work with a woman who will be asking about what Jennifer Aniston is doing. Well, what Jennifer Aniston is doing, A, first, great DNA, B, probably a full-time cook, full-time fitness advisor, probably a couple of assistants. If you can, tell people to go run and do some things, I think we have, this makes me happy. And all the listeners need to start thinking about that more. What's enough for me? And then get the equipment, the kettlebell, the TRX, whatever the thing, then put it in place and then go. And when you get that mastered, if you want, add something appropriately.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. All right, here's a big question, but let's see if we can get a short answer from you, Dan. I'm sure you've dealt with this as a coach and a teacher. Brigger wants to know, Dan, how do you deal with kids bullying each other? Do you have a Dan John method for straightening these kids out over the years? I mean, big topic, not fitness related, but just a few quick thoughts maybe on this one, Dan.
One of the things that just shocks you I hadn't been around. I taught for 17 years. I was an administrator in a building with nothing but adults for 10 years. And then I went back to school to teach and coach my daughters. And the thing that I had forgotten about is how brutal adolescents are to each other.
Kids, oh yeah, just Christine's cousin is just her kids are having a lot of issues. They don't live by us, but it's some real issues of bullying, and their self-esteem's being destroyed. And very sad stuff, like all they asked for Christmas was makeup. So you just hate to hear that sort of stuff. You just hate to hear it. It really breaks your heart.
But
it really breaks your heart, right?
It is part of what it's an aspect of being human that's not a good part of being human,
right?
What you need to do, of course, is you need to make sure every child has knows their strengths. Every child needs someone to talk to.
Some home life, if people, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At the school, one of the schools I taught at, the head of counseling made us all raise our hand every year and deputize us as members of the counseling department. He said, and I always liked it. He said that there's a kid on this campus who's going to connect with you, and you might be the only person on the planet they connect with.
Mm-hmm.
I always took that very seriously, very seriously. The answer is, and it's a phrase used in a lot of places, it gets better. The nicest thing I liked about getting out of high school, and I was a football player. I wrestled, I threw the discus, I hurdled, I was in student government, I did all these things, and I still hated the way high school kids were. Oh, yeah. And I knew I would thrive in college when
it does get better. That's a good piece of advice, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when I was in college, I got no offense to my friends, but y'all were geeks, man.
Y'all weren't cool at all.
Good thing you had me to up the level. But it does get better, and hats off to like my gay friends in school, and growing up in the 70s. There was some situations, but it gets better. And then the other thing, try to get yourself, and then once you get out of that, stay out of it too. That whole keeping up with the Joneses and everything else. But I watch interactions here with adults, and there are some people who still bully each other.
Oh yeah, happens all the time. You kidding me?
There's an all women's book club here and I know a lot, and the women click up and they ice people out and all these things, and I'm like, and it's sad.
Right? It's the high school lunch table.
All went to high school together, and they're still and they still think that's how the rules are played, and frankly, they're not. So
ain't a good way to be, ain't a good way to exist. All right, that's all right. We're moving on. Edward says, good morning. When doing the YTLs, he has TYL, but that's fine. Is it better to face in or turn away? I guess he's talking about when you're doing it with the TRX system or whatever. By the way, I love just doing it without anything. It is if you just hold each position for 20 seconds, even just standing. I can't show it on the full camera, but if you just,
so massive, your shoulders are so broad,
broad and bulky. Okay,
so Edward,
but just 20 seconds each. Yeah.
Edward, I got the TRX is on the X thingy,
Yep.
And then I lean back like this, and then I go like that. So
whatever that is,
strappy is there.
I guess it's facing in. I think that's facing in.
It should be. You should. The thing I like best about TRX is I love what it does. I'm about to go Frankenstein's monster, but I like what it does for the rear deltoids, the rhomboids. What it does for the. I love it. This has been a clear improvement in my last 10 years from all the work.
Aside from a few,
you guys notice I'm in a different look today, folks.
I was gonna say, nice new shirt there you got, Dan. I like a little chest hair popping out. It's good. It's real good.
Should I put the gold chain back on?
You should. Yeah. A Dapper Dan hair jelly. So one of my basic warm up, especially for any overhead work, aside from a few light presses, I'll do those YTWLs and the Zenith. Man, I love that Zenith stretch.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah. Right there. All right, let's take one or two more quick here. Walt wants to know, hey, I got the glute loop. Danny wants to know, what else can he do with it aside from your 15 down to 1 sequence? Is there anything else, or is this a one and done piece? So
just to clear for everybody, Walt is doing 15 hip thrusts, 15 clamshells, 14 hip thrusts, 14 clamshells, 13, 13, 12, 12. There's another one. You can go 25, 10, 20, 10, 15, 10, 10, 10, 5, 10. You can do monster walks with them. I keep them still above the knee, and I do that like that. I tell you one thing, doing a monster walk with either mini bands around your ankles or glute loops around your thighs, there are parts of one's gluteal region that have been underappreciated. You'll be doing those damn monster walks, and it's fun to look around when people's eyes, you're burning in places you never burned before. People's eyes, and I always make the joke. So my block is about 400 meters. I'll say we're gonna just do one block. Well, we get to about 100 feet, and it's like, and it's just a joke. We're never gonna go around.
Right.
I've done it one time, mini band around the block with TJ. In fact, my friend TJ. Yeah.
Okay, let's squeeze in this last one here real quick. Arajit wants to know, hey, best exercises for the hamstrings and quads, and also wants to know if the push press or the jerk is sufficient for developing the quads, specifically at the 20-kilogram kettlebell. Ideas on this here, Dan?
Well, I mean, it's a Frankenstein's monster question. I mean, the best exercises. I mean, what you got? I mean, it's going to be it's hinge and squat. I mean, those are the hamstring quad exercises. But if you go into a gym with nothing but machines, they've got all those leg extension and leg curls machines, which have value. I know a lot of people hate them now because some people are rough on their knees, but no, I mean, I would say double kettlebell front squats and any big hinge.
Yeah, awesome. Good. All right, Dan, before we go, quick updates. Any progress, new progress on the book? Anything else that you have coming up?
Book's going well. Yeah, next weekend I'll be in Las Vegas at this workshop.
Oh, cool.
This is on the wrong side, folks. Every show I've ever had, it's on this side, so I'm not used to being here.
Yeah.
I'll be speaking in Parker on easy strength. I got a VIP luncheon on dinner on Thursday night, and then they very kindly have me at 8 a.m. speaking on the start of the whole thing. And then the next weekend I'll be down in Tempe. I'll be going to I'm going to a workshop for me to learn things. So yeah,
that's awesome.
So
it's great.
I think a lot of people missed that, but I think it's really important that you should go to workshops in your field,
and you should learn things from people
and take some damn notes.
Always be a student. Love it. Great reminder to end on. Gentle listeners, thank you for listening. Thank you for asking your very good questions. If you like what we're doing, comment, subscribe, share it with Nan, and we'll see you guys next time. Fare thee well.